Let's take a look at an interesting security feature that OpenBSD has. OpenBSD is a Unix-like operating system. I have a quick look video about this on my channel, but basically it's an alternative for Linux, and it has a focus on security. Now the feature I'm going to demonstrate is the ability of processes to say, I want to restrict my operation to do only specific stuff with the operating system. For example, I don't want to have any access to the files. I want to only print stuff to the console. I'm going to demonstrate this with a virtual machine. If you want to make a setup on your computer, just go to openbsd.org and click here download. This is my OpenBSD virtual machine, and this is a default installation, so all the programs demonstrated come with OpenBSD built in. First program I'm going to run is tmux, and this will give me the ability to split the screen. So I'm going to press Ctrl B and then %. Now I can use Ctrl B with the arrows to go between them. So on the right one, I'm going to open the man page for pledge. And this is the system call which will let my process restrict the operations. So you call pledge and you give promises. For example, I promise to only print stuff to the console. And then if the process tries doing something else, for example, executing another program, it's going to crash because OpenBSD is going to say, you promise that you only print stuff to the console. And we'll see a demonstration for this right now. So I'm going to open a new C file over here. Call it main.c. I'm going to use VI, it's one of the built-in text editors. I'm going to start by including UniSTD. Then I'm going to open the main function. I'm going to start by calling pledge. And let's take a look at the promises that I can pass into the string. The exec promises, I'm just going to keep this as null because this is not relevant for this video. So I'm going to just scroll down. Okay, and here we can see the strings that we can use in the promises argument. It's separated with spaces. stdio is basic input-output, for example, writing stuff to the console. And you can see here a list of the system calls that are included with this pledge. But I'm going to start by using just stdio and pass null for the second parameter. Afterwards, I'm going to print something to the console, and I'm going to include stdio. Okay, let's start by trying this program and seeing that it works fine. So I'm going to use cc, compile this. Output is going to be main. Now running main, everything should work fine. Now let's break this by calling something that I'm not supposed to call after my pledge. For example, executing another program with execv. So let's take a look at the man page for that. You can see we need to pass 3 arguments. First argument is the path of the program I want to execute. And let's say I want to execute binls. Second one is the argv. We can just use the argv that we used in my program. This is just for demonstration purposes, doesn't really matter. Notice I'm also not checking the error values of the functions here. Of course, in a real program, you should do that. NFP can just be 0. Okay, now let's see if this is going to work. I'm expecting this not to work because of the pledge. I'm going to compile this again. Let's run main. Nice, and we see the hello printed to the console, but then I see a core dumped. Pledge exec is required. So I'm seeing my program try to do a system call, which is not allowed with the pledge that I gave. I pledged I only use stdio system calls, but I tried doing a system call which is part of the exec pledge. So the way I'm going to fix this is I'm going to add here exec to the pledge. Now if I compile this again, run main, you can see it finally works nicely. First it printed the hello and then it ran ls. You can see the files here. Another very important thing to understand here from a security standpoint is that you can't relax your pledge. For example, I can't do something like this. Say at the start that I only use stdio, and then right before I need to execute the new program, say that I also need exec. This is not going to work. We'll have the same problem. And this is very good from a security standpoint, because you only want the permissions to go down once you made a pledge, or else it beats the purpose of pledging. Now this mechanism is of course part of the OpenBSD kernel, and I'm here in the GitHub mirror of OpenBSD, specifically in trap.c function. And if we go here and search for syscall, This is the implementation of the syscall function in the AMD 64 architecture. And we can start seeing here how pledge affects the system call that comes in. So if I'm just gonna scroll down here a little bit and go to this function, and you can see that right before it calls the actual implementation of the system call, it makes a check for the pledge. This is where it happens. And if there's an error in the pledge check, it's going to fail before it's going to call the system call.